Thank you for joining me on my masterclass. Now today we're going to be teaching on how to build wealth using the Indian model. Now, why the Indian model? It's because in the United Kingdom and in the United States, the richest ethnicity are Indians. What I like you to note is the fact you can research it by yourself. I even encourage you to do that. Indians are the richest ethnicity in both the United Kingdom and the United States. In the United Kingdom, they hold individually, each Indian has a median property wealth of about £176,000, which is roughly about $200,000. In the United States, Indian families have a median annual income of about $82,000. So how come Indians are so wealthy? How come they've been able to build generational wealth that they transfer from one generation to the other? If you study Indians, you study the way they live their lives, one thing strikes out is that they are very familial in nature. What that means is that they practice family wealth. Now, I'm going to break that down. When an Indian family have children, they nurture those children. The children typically tend to go to private schools. But that's not the end of it. When they graduate, because Indians are more likely to go to university than almost every other ethnicity in the United Kingdom except white British. And then when the children graduate, their children don't leave home even if they get a job. They encourage their children to get a job within like maybe a 50-mile radius of where their parents live, or maybe slightly more, so that their children can stay at home and then commute to work. So they don't have to go and rent a place. They don't have to go and spend money renting a place. Now, why is this important? It's important because your greatest expense is going to be for accommodation. And so they encourage their children to stay at home and get a job or work in a family business. And then whatever money they would have spent on rent, those kids are encouraged to save them and invest them so that they can have capital to buy their own real estate. That's why Indians have very, very high numbers of real estate wealth. Indians have the highest number in the United Kingdom. So their children stay in the house and they don't move out until they bought their own house. So they are moving out of their parents' house to their own house. And then they have a family. Their own children move out of their own house to their own house. So they are not staying in rented apartments. And this is very important because when you stay in a rented apartment, most of the money you're working for is going to your landlord. So they're able to keep this money within their community, within their family. And so you got to learn from them. Whenever you graduate from college or university or whatever it is, whatever tertiary institution, or maybe you didn't even go to a tertiary institution, maybe you went to high school, secondary school, don't be in a hurry to move out of your parents' home. Stay in your parents' home. Maybe you don't have parents who are living in an area where you got a job, stay with family, friends, stay with relatives, stay with your siblings. But then don't just graduate, get a job, and then just get out of your, family situation and then just rent a place. You are going to be spending the most part of your salary on rent. That means you're making someone else rich. So if you look at it now, in most situations, rent is going to take about 42% of your income. So you're giving 42% of your income away, and then you've left with about 58, of which you're going to have to feed yourself and pay other expenses. So learn from Indians. Just humble yourself. Stay with your parents. Even if they're not the easiest persons to live with, or maybe your relatives are not the easiest person to stay with, or your siblings or your family friends, stay with them. Humble yourself. And then just stay and then begin to keep that money that you have spent for rent in an account, maybe a savings account, and then you think about how you can invest it, because the main goal is to have capital to buy your own property. You don't have to have the complete 100% to buy property. You could just have a down payment, but then saving money that you have spent on rent is going to help you raise that down payment. Another thing, and you can also research this, another thing is that, you see, with Asians, and especially with Indians, that this is actually particular with Indians, it's peculiar to Indians, the very first major purchase that they make after they graduate from school is a house. It's a house. But then statistics have shown that for Black Britons and then African Americans, the first purchase they make after they graduate from college is the first major purchase that they make after they graduate from college is a car. Now think about it now. You're buying a car and then another person is buying a house. Who's going to be wealthier? Yeah, a car is nice. Your friends are going to like hail you. You know, you're going to look kind of like, you know, cool driving a car. But a car is not really an asset. It's a liability because over time, a car loses value. But if you get real estate, over time, real estate rises in value because the world's population keeps on increasing, and then the land mass of the earth is not increasing. So there's always going to be a demand for real estate. So when you begin to learn those little things that Indians do to build wealth, and then you learn from them and then you practice it yourself, you're also going to build wealth like them. So again, I'm going to just summarize it. You graduate from whatever it is that you're doing, and then you don't move out of your parents or your siblings or your relatives' house. Stay until you're able to move from there to buy your own place. They're not going to be always nice to you. It doesn't matter. Just humble yourself. Don't just say, F it, I'm going to get out of here. Look, that is pride. Calm yourself, you know, just accept whatever trash they give to you. Humble yourself, you know, because that's how you rise. That's how you rise. Humility is very conducive to growth. It's very conducive to promotion. It's very conducive to advancement. That's how Yeshua HaMashiach, whom some people call Jesus Christ, that's how he rose. Scripture tells us in the book of Philippians, it says that because he humbled himself, God gave him a name that is above all names. So you too, humble yourself under your parents, under your relatives, under your siblings, under your family friends, and God will promote you. You're going to be a homeowner, and then being a homeowner is the key to having generational wealth. So now, if you can put this in, practice the Indian way of creating wealth, so that the very first major purchase that you have after you graduate is not a car, it's not a designer, it's not some set of designer clothes, it is real estate. If you can do that, then you're going to be wealthy. Now, if you've watched this, you've got questions arising from this, put your questions in the comment section of my video. My staff are going to bring them to me, and I'll do my best to respond to each and every category. But you got to remember, I do not have a WhatsApp or a Telegram channel or Gmail email address. If you are a subscriber on my formerly known as Twitter platform, don't worry. I'm going to give you today's crypto pick on that platform. I can't give it out to just the general public, so I'll give it to you only exclusively to you guys. And just give me about by about maybe 9 a.m. you're going to get the crypto pick. Now, this is Pastor Reno, the Apostle of Prosperity, saying God bless you.
Reno travels all around the world. I hope you get inspired about what you see. Apostle of greatness, Reno is a master. Only one man against the whole world in large. Fighting with the monsters, poverty I can't stand. That's why Reno is